Good morning. This is the Louisiana Committee on Parole, and we're here to talk about a few things this morning. We're going to be dealing with some revocations and requests for parole. The time is 8:49 in the morning. Today's date is December the 4th, 2024. My name is Steve Prater. I'll be acting as chairman today. To my left, we have Carolyn Stapleton. To my right is Danny Barra. And so that's going to be who's on the board. If I could get the staff here to introduce themselves, I'd appreciate it.
Jeff Martin, Sherelle Paper, Carl Williams.
Okay, thank you. And as I said before, we're at the headquarters, DLC headquarters in Baton Rouge, and we're going to be handling some different cases today. All right, the first case that we're going to be handling, it comes from St. Tammany. And is there any staff from St. Tammany in the room there? Mr. Richard, is there any staff there? Could you introduce yourself, please, sir?
Corporal Jonathan Lott.
Okay. And are you the only one there besides me? Okay. All right, Mr. Richard, we got some paperwork to deal with you, some administrative things. Are you looking at a sheet of paper that has your name on it by chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is it? What is your DOC number on there? Do you know that on there?
Yes, sir. 598267.
Okay, and you signed that talking about it talks about the fact that you're not entitled to an appointed lawyer and that sort of thing. Did you sign that and agree to all of that?
Hold on, sir. Let me read right now. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you agreed to the things that you signed and checked on that particular sheet of paper, correct? Okay. All right, we're going to we'll begin the hearing now, but so that you'll know, we have some folks that want to speak because this is a public hearing, public meeting, and so they have a right to speak. And then we're going to, as a board, we'll determine about the status of your revocation request. And before we handle the revocation, we'll hear from these folks. One is Travis Richard. Is that the way you say your name, Richard or Rick? Okay, Richard. Also present is Angel Boudreau, who is not going to be speaking. And then Steve Everly, the parole officer on Zoom, who will be speaking. So we'll go ahead and get started. I think Travis Richard just walked in and got settled down, so I hate to spring it on you so quickly. But if you would, sir, would you go to the podium and tell us what you have to say and try to limit it to, 3 minutes or so?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
My name is Travis Richard. I'm not only Emile Richard's son, I'm one of his victims in the original case. I would not only be speaking for myself, but on behalf of the other victims left behind by Mr. Richard. We came together to make a statement that I submitted to you. I want to read it in the hearing. I'm someone who believes in giving people seconds, that they can change and give them that opportunity. However, my father has chosen time and time again to not
I can't understand what you're saying.
responsibility for his actions and express remorse. He has chosen to not take advantage of his opportunities that were given to him. My father has had many great faults concerning not only the duration of incarceration, but his full term date as well. The breaks I referred to are simple clerical errors, which led to him receiving triple jail credits from time waiting under incarceration to get sentenced in his original. Triple jail credits. Simple clerical errors, which led to his full term date changing from September of 2035 to July of 2032. On top of that, he caught another break from yet another simple error made on the day of sentencing. Attorney, where the assistant district attorney said the dates of offense incorrectly in the hearing in which they sentenced under an old law, determine how long he would stay under incarceration. Instead of the 100% that he was, the judge intended, he only served 50% under the old law. Due to this, he only served about 12 to 12 and a half years under incarceration, instead of ending 25 years. While I have not spoken to my father in over a decade, as children, we are subjected to emotional, psychological, physical, and sexual abuse at his hands. Upon his incarceration, I am thankful to say that the physical and sexual abuse was over. However, the emotional and psychological abuse was not. While I did not have any communication with him, my siblings were unable to cut ties until the last few years. Through them, he attempted to manipulate and create divides between us. Given the many abuses we've endured at his hands, we were not able to bond as normal siblings would and overcome things such as this. Knowing this, he attempted to gain sympathy for himself by blaming one of us or another, depending on who he was speaking to. And due to having cut all ties with him, he had to resort to other types of manipulation and torment for me. The way he chose to do this was through my employer. I had worked at the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office Reentry Program from December 2012 to February 2022. While with the reentry program, I worked with incarcerated people, assisting them with creating and maintaining second, third, and even fourth chances and starting new lives. This is a role that I'm extremely proud to say that I played in people's lives. During that time, he found out that I was working there and regularly attempted to initiate transfers to Lafayette Parish. While I did not know the precise amount of times, there were many occasions where I would see his name and information pop up on potential transfer so that he could come and be there where I was. And then which led to me having to explain to people who did not know the situation I worked with over and over again why he could not come to Lafayette Parish. My father has been given chance after chance to change his life and do the right thing. However, time and time again, he has chosen to remain the same person who is responsible for the abuse endured by myself, my siblings, and all of his other victims that could not be here today. Since he's been released from incarceration, he has violated the conditions of his parole placed on him as conditions of release to protect society. In doing so, he has abused the court and this board's trust. We have no doubt that if he were to have his parole reinstated, that he would continue to be who he has always been, an abuser.
Okay.
My father has spent his life proving that he is a danger to society. It is for this reason that we ask, myself and the other victims, ask you to revoke him and send him back to prison, as the judge in his case intended for the duration of his sentence. This is also why we ask you to deny him any credits that he may receive for his time while on parole, and also the time that he has been waiting under incarceration for this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just so that you're perfectly clear, we don't deal with time calculations and all that. So your last request is not up to our board. It'll be up to the Department of Correction. We'll take what you had to say
Yes.
seriously, and we appreciate you taking time to come down here. Mr. Richard, we hadn't gone over the violations yet that you're charged with because we wanted to hear the outside person, since it's a public. So I wanted to hear from them first. And now we want to hear from you, and then we'll hear from your parole officer. Okay. And you're charged with not necessarily a crime, but you're charged with violation of some rules that you agreed to, and they're on that sheet that you had there. You signed a sheet that said that you were, when you first got out of jail, that you were going to abide by certain rules, correct?
The,
That's it.
the sheet that he's talking about, for the contract and sex offender.
Yes, sir. Correct. Got out of jail, you agreed to certain things, correct?
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
Okay. And so what you're here today, from my understanding, you violated Rule 4, which has to do with drugs and alcohol and criminal behavior, and also number 13, special conditions that a sex offender has to abide by. And so that's a separate issue, but that's a violation of your rules. So 4 and 13 are what we're dealing with today. And we're going to hear in a moment from your parole officer, and then we'll hear from the board as far as questions and all. Well, what, number 4, what do you plead to that?
Well, I claim to that, sir, is that I got addiction. I got a alcohol addiction. I'm addicted to it. My parole officer had me going to attend the AA, which had help. I was also I was starting to seek because I'm 65 years old, living on 1,600 Medicare, Social Security. So I just got my Medicare, and I was starting to look for mental health because there was triggers emotionally that was bringing me back into drinking again. And I was going to AA in the big book, Life Principles, and I was starting to get control of it. Like I said, I got addiction. It's almost a disease because of being hereditary from my mother. That last one where he caught me drinking, I was celebrating. Had caught a flat tire because I had gone down to home and got a job. $25 an hour, 65 years old. So I stopped by a friend's house to fix my tire. He's cooked and had a couple of beers. So we was just celebrating. And I came back home and I admitted to it. But I had to get up early that next morning to start my work. I was looking forward to this job because it was going to set me apart. I was looking forward to it because possibly start making restitution payments to these victims that he's talking about. Because going through AA classes, we realized that we have to make amends for the people that we hurt. And that was my...
Let me interrupt you for just a second, and I understand all those are part of your statement. Are you guilty of violating number 4 or not?
Yes, sir. I was drinking. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're guilty of that. And what about the next, violating the special conditions that you agreed to as a sex offender? Are you guilty of that, or not guilty, or guilty with a statement, or?
The special, which ones you want to talk about first, sir? The
No.
change of address requirement?
Yes to that, and
I'm not guilty of that. Yes, sir. I'm not guilty of that because I wasn't changing my address. According to that, I'm not very bright at these.
excuse me, we're just gonna put down you're not guilty of violating special conditions. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I'm not guilty of that. No,
Okay,
sir.
not guilty of either thing.
No, because I
Okay.
didn't change my address, sir.
Okay,
There was no change of address. This was a company paid hotel room for training. The company paid for this.
okay,
I was
all
only
right.
for 24 hours.
All right, let's hear from your parole officer now. Okay, and we'll hear what he has to say. We know how you pled on this, and we'll give you a chance to explain this when we're all through, okay? How does that sound?
I appreciate it, sir, because
You can have your statement after your parole officer. So Mr. Everly, could we have Mr. Everly?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board. We are here today because Emile Richard has failed to abide by the terms and conditions of both the good time parole supervision he signed on 3/15/23, as well as the sex offender contract he signed on 3/20/23. He has failed to refrain from using alcohol, and he has failed numerous times. The last resulting in him going to a residence at 306 4th Street in Slidell, and driving home. I did not catch him driving, but I showed him on an ankle bracelet where he left the residence and got home. I was home right after he got there, and he blew a .15 BAC. And his attitude was, well, yeah, well, sure, I had a few beers there. It's not really a big deal. It is a big deal. I can't hold him not accountable for his actions and hold everyone else accountable for theirs. Furthermore, he provided a taxi when the subject that resides at the 306 4th Street is a friend of his. He was driving him around, and he said he didn't pay me anything. But when I spoke to the subject at the person at the residence, he stated, oh yeah, I gave him $60 for driving me, around to get my vehicle registered. So he's acting as a taxi. And the biggest one is he left on the 9/22 of 24. He went down and stayed at the Quality Inn and Suites on Industrial Boulevard in Houma, which is 287 feet from the Oak Lawn Junior High School. According to his sex offender contract, he's not allowed to be within 1,000 feet of a school, daycare, freestanding video arcade, or public pool, because his victim was under the age of 13. The victims were under the age of 13. His attitude on that was, well, I had to go to work. And I said, you were told you got to tell me when you're not staying at your residence. And he failed to alert me that he was staying down there. I only knew about it because of his ankle bracelet, his electronic monitor we had on him. So he has many violations, and he has lied at a lot of turns. When I saw him at the jail recently, he stated, well, I didn't drive home. My friend drove us home and then had someone come pick him up, which we know that was false. We know I was right behind him. I was probably about 8 to 10 minutes behind him because I was looking at his ankle bracelet. And I got there, and so he lies at every turn. I don't know what more to say.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning.
Question for him.
And we'll have, yes, Mr. Brown.
Hey, Everly, how did he stand on his sex offender classes?
He was attending the sex offender class is at the residence where he stays, 60207. So he was attending those, but it's all the other stuff. When I would say, are you drinking? No, I'm not drinking. Well, I find a beer can in his room. Well, what is this? Well, okay, I had a beer. I had one beer, and there was multiple beer cans in the trash can. And I told him, you can't drink. Stop drinking. I put him in a second time. I put him in AA, 3 AA-NA meetings per week. And I got the first one, and then I haven't seen anything after that. So I don't know if he was attending them. He didn't provide documentation showing where he went to those.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Now we'll have a chance to discuss the things with Mr. Richard. And I think this is Mr. Barras, the lead questioner on this, and then the rest of us who are also familiar with the case, we will have a chance to ask questions, and you can give your statement then. All right, so go ahead, Mr. Barras.
Do you think you have an alcohol problem?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, I do. I do. Yeah, it's an addiction, and attending the AA classes, I realized that they were coming back again for my past, and I realized that very much so. Attending the AA classes along with what they call the big book, which is we use the Bible because 12 steps are all biblical related. I was making progress. I was understanding my problem.
Right.
I was trying to get grip of it.
I'm interested in the violation with the alcohol use where you tested a 0.15 after driving with the probation officer. That's serious. That's very serious.
I understand that, sir. And I tried to explain to him that I had 2 beers. He came to my residence to test me approximately 20 minutes later. I had done drank another one. Because I was getting my hard hat, my duffel bag, all that together and clothes ready to leave that morning. And jump in the shower. Because I had to be up for about 2 o'clock in the morning to leave. Or 3. I think it was about 3 o'clock in the morning to leave. So no, I had one before he got there. So that's why it was high. I know better than to drink and drive because I knew it would be a major violation. But I was caught up in the moment of finally my life would excel to where I could move on and have a decent living and be able to, like I said, to start paying back restitution to these people that are severely hurt. You know, and I had people out there that were counting on me, that depends on me, that helped me along the way ever since I got out. And I realized since being in here that I severely failed them. I failed the board. I failed Mr. Steve Everett. And I'm just looking for a chance to prove to everybody I can do this and be right. For years, sir, since I got out, I'm a month and a half ahead on my bills. I'm 2 months ahead on my parole fees. I was attending North Shore Technical College in Lacombe for industrial electrician. They invited me to join Alpha Kappa because I was 3.6 grade average. So I was excelling, I was looking forward to it, and then I realized that I couldn't do what my skills allowed me to do, which was carpentry, tile work, because that's all service inside a residence. And I'm not allowed to do service work inside residence, as well as carnival work and taxi cab. That's all employment. I understand that. That's why I was going back to what I knew the best for all my years, was the oil field. I had worked in May and June for Danoff Services, working offshore. The agent knew that.
I got another question for you.
You know, so yes, but I do have an alcohol problem and I need to work it and I'm willing to go ahead and pay for the class to go for treatment myself, and because I don't think it's fair for the state of Louisiana to pay for my disease, my addiction. And since I got insurance, I'm quite capable of paying for it now.
You realize that you can't use that as an excuse to violate the conditions of your parole.
I understand that, sir, about, you know.
But it looks like you started out well when you first got out and you were doing what you were supposed to, but then you started using alcohol and marijuana. Why did you started out well, but why did you start doing it at that particular time? And then it looks like you had multiple violations after the officer told you you can't drink. You still kept drinking and you still kept testing positive for alcohol. Why?
Well, sir, that first violation was what they call that CBD gummy or something. I just got out and I wasn't familiar with these. I had hurt my back because I got a network with 8 people I work for. So I fell off a ladder trying to put some sheetrock up in a house we were rebuilding, and I hurt my back. My roommate at that time had one of these gummies. So he said, try this, it's going to help you, because I had to go back to work that next morning. So I took that. When Agent Brenda came a couple of days later, he asked if I had did anything. I said, I took one of these CBD gummies, and I'm not sure if it's going to show up or not, Brenda. Something you buy in the store, if I'm right, huh? He says, that's still a violation. You can't be using that. I said, well, I didn't know, because I thought it was, you sell it in these convenience stores now. I didn't know it was a violation. As for these other ones, when he had, the first time he caught me drinking, I was at my house watching a football game. And me and my roommate, who's not on parole, we were having just a beer watching the football game. That's when Steve came and I was informed I couldn't drink. I said, fine. I understand that. I didn't realize that. I thought I couldn't be drinking outside the home or go inside casino bar to have a beer. That's where I was reading it. So I refrained from drinking. The next time that I tested was when he sent me to the DRC center because he said I wasn't doing enough to try to get employment. He wanted me to get a full-time employment, even though I was working part-time. So when I went to the DRC center, I had taken a bunch of cold medicine the night before, and it came up as testing for alcohol. And I cleanly told him, I said, Steve, I said, I'm not the brilliant, most intelligent guy in the world, but I'm not going to, knowing that I got to take a drug test the next morning, go drink like that to violate myself. I said, I'm not like that. So he got me on that one. And then the next time he called me was when I came home. And I had a few beers and came home and tested positive for that.
All right, that's all the questions I had.
Okay. Ms. Stapleton, you-
Okay, so the level 4 violation for the sex offender contract, where you're at the quality end, which was well within the parameter that you were not supposed to be around the school. Is that another one you didn't understand?
I was fully aware of the 1,000 feet rule, ma'am.
Mm.
Like I said, when I was down there in May and June going offshore, I didn't see no, what you expect to see is school signs, speed limit, school zone signs. This 287 feet, this is actually a football field. So if you stand one side of the football field to another football field, in the end zone, you're gonna see clearly the end zone on the other side. When I drove into the Quality parking lot, I didn't see no school building at all. Nor
Let
did
me just interrupt you there. So, generally where you have a football field, you have a school, because they generally have their football fields.
No, man, what I'm
So
saying
does
is,
that make sense to you that you could kind of put the two together?
no, man, what I'm saying is when you stand, if this is,
I understand that when you stand on one end, you don't see the school. I understand. I'm just saying, would it have made sense to you that seeing a football field kind of leads you to believe there's something like a high school or middle school nearby? Does that make sense to you?
no, ma'am,
Yes.
no, ma'am, you misunderstood me. When I say, when you stand on the football field, you can see the other end zone. That's 300 feet.
Okay,
And when I drove into this, if this was 300 feet, I didn't see the school. I didn't see no building. I didn't see no sign saying school speed limit sign or school zone signage. I didn't see none of that for 300 feet. That's why I wasn't aware of it. Had I been aware that there was a school right there, believe me, I would not have stayed there. I would have gone and slept in the parking lot of that business.
okay, well, we'll move on past that.
Not while
And then the
violating.
other one was, you said you got caught up in the moment. Is that was caught up in the moment for the drinking is normally I was doing good. I get caught up in the moment and I forget what I'm supposed to do. And then I start drinking. Is that was what that was leading to? Is that what you were talking about when caught up in the moment?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, celebration, and
Celebrate, right. That's what I got. That related to the drinking.
yeah, the desire, that how do you call that? You got that desire to drink, and you always look for, I guess, an excuse or a reason for it. It's like in a drug use, you look for a particular reason or an excuse to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I caught when you said, caught up in the moment. It
Yeah.
led me right out here, celebrate, and then that led to the drinking. So it was a deliberate act. I mean, you were caught up in the moment. All right, that's all I had, those two questions.
Yeah, it was. I guess it was knowing that I shouldn't have, and I said, well, here I got it. I finally got it, and knowing that this particular company, Gulf Island Fabricators, they drug test twice a month for the first 90 days. So I would have been well aware I couldn't have been drinking at all. because this was an opportunity of a lifetime for me after being incarcerated and then finally able to get out and move ahead. This was God sent. This was God blessing right here. And there was no two ways around it for this opportunity.
Let me ask you a question. I think it's my turn. You said that when your parole officer followed you home or got there afterward, a short time after you got home, how many beers had you had that evening?
Well, after I got back from that, I had 1.5.
How many total for the whole evening?
For the whole evening,
Yeah,
see, two at Mr. Lenny's house, and then 1.5 when I got back.
3.5 beers through the whole evening,
Uh-huh.
and you registered .15.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yeah, Steve asked that same question, and I told him, I said, well, I haven't been drinking. So it's gonna really show up quite a bit quickly on me. Because I'm not a very big guy. I'm pretty slim. So that's the only thing I could see. That it would show up that much, that quickly.
All right, Mr. Richard, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'll take that as your statement. Okay, is the board ready to vote?
I mean,
Okay.
I like to talk about this taxi cab service he was talking about, sir.
Okay,
I
you
mean-
can, I thought you'd had your statement on that, but go ahead. Yes, sir, you're right. Tell us
Yeah.
about that and be succinct and just give us a brief explanation of that, okay?
Okay. At that time, he needed a ride. We have a working relationship. He helps me out. He's almost like my son because he's in his 30s. So we have a working relationship. On this occasion right here, his truck had blew up or quit working, so he needed another car. He works in Baton Rouge. So he asked me if I could bring him to go to the bank, go to DMV, get his license plate, and finalize the deal on the car. And I said, I could do that. I said, but I'm out of gas. I don't have no gas at all in my truck. But I still had to go to DOC center and to my AA classes. Because my truck is a 3/4 ton heavy duty truck. So he said, look, don't worry about it. I got you covered. My boss is giving me some money to buy this car. He says, I can put gas in your truck for you. And that's where this money came up.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't charging him for taxi service or anything because it's illegal for me to be employed as a taxi service to begin with.
Okay. How many AA meetings have you been to total?
I've been to a total of 18. I got,
And how long?
huh?
And what length of time?
Give me 1 minute right here. It's the AA meetings. The first one when he told me to attend was 8/21. So I went on Wednesday, Thursday, and Fridays, every day of the week. That was 8/21, 22, 23, then 28, 29, 30. Then in September it was 9, 4, 6, 7. Then 11, 12, 13, and then 18, 19, 20. All the
Okay.
same places, and since I was wearing ankle monitor, he could pull this up and see I was there from 6 o'clock to 7:30 on
But
Thursday.
you were still drinking during that time you were going to AA meetings, right?
No, sir. I relapsed a couple of times during the week. Yes, sir, I admit that.
Okay.
Me and my- That's why,
Then the answer to that is when I say you're still drinking during these AA meetings, your answer is yes, sir.
oh, yes, sir.
Okay, I think we're ready
During
to
the
vote.
week, during the week I did. Not-
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anything else you want to say briefly? I think we've given you your statement and letting you have time to express yourself. Is there anything that we need to know quickly?
Quickly, like I said, according to the way it's written, I didn't change my residency.
Okay. All right, we've been through that.
As for the
I think the panel is ready to vote. Mr. Barron?
Well, Mr. Richard, it looks like you have a hard time understanding what the conditions are and following them.
No, sir.
You've had several chances, but by the parole officer telling you don't quit the drinking, and it just, you go back to the same excuse of, I have a problem. And that's a combination that won't work on parole. So I vote to revoke your parole today.
Just vote.
I vote to revoke your parole for the same conditions of Mr. Barra, but also the sex offender contract under number 13A, B, and C that you violated that going near a school.
I concur with all of those, and you are hereby violated. Your parole is violated. Sorry to tell you that. Have a good day. That's concluded here in 9:25.
If you happen to see the little box where you see your face, if you happen to see the little red mic pop up, let me know. Because they can mute us on their end and we don't. So if you just happen to see the little red mic pop up in that box. What kind of charge you in?
Home Vegas, country on death. My girlfriend called and lied on me.
They will do it.
And she lied, told me people I took money out her purse.
Yeah, and bad thing is they pissed off, you know, people get pissed off with each other and they say shit. And, you know, you on parole, so if I get the police, you going back, you definitely going
And
back.
that was he told me over the phone.
You know, and
You call the police on you and send you to. Thought she was playing.
yeah, you know, so
Coming from work, police stopped the car, had one off on my wrist. Yeah.
and then they be like, damn.
Want to sign an affidavit, you do all this and
The last the hearings I did last month, the girl was in the thing in the hearing, and she told him what she did. You know, she was like, I was mad at him and blase, blase. And they were like, ma'am, do you know we could have you arrested for that? Because you filed a false police report and had him arrested. And she was like, yeah, I understand that, but they was like, we're not gonna do it, but in the future, when you make that phone call, make sure. And they when they finished with her and they was just talking to him, they told him, you know, we suggest you cut your dealings with this woman. He's like, I'm done with it. He said, when I get out, he said, I got a few things at her apartment. He said, I'm going to get my stuff and I'm not even talking to her anymore. He said, you know, she had me get locked up and all this headache. And then he asked me, he was like, you think, no, I don't think you should. Yeah, leave that alone.
right,
Because if she gonna do that, if she did it, she gonna do it again.
right. Nah, I'm not messing with her.
You know, if you did mess up, you put your hands on her. That's one thing for her to call. I mean, and when I say put, like you just grab her, you know, that's one thing for her to make that phone call and say you did something. Because, you know, she probably was scared and whatever. You know, you could deal with that better than me calling and saying, hey, he took some shit. And you come to jail and I go, I told you I'd go get you. But, you know, I say he put his hands on me and you did, then, you know, it's like, okay, I did grab her. So you know, I messed up, stupid. I was mad. I grabbed her by the arm, maybe grabbed her by the arm to move her out my way and pulled her too hard and she hit the floor. But
She ain't got worried about me no more.
huh?
She ain't got worried about me no more. You talking about this?
Yeah, they're still muted. So.
Okay, good morning. How are you doing, Mr. Scott?
I'm doing all right. How you doing this morning?
You're doing okay, okay. What you're looking at right here is the board that's going to be deciding whether to revoke you or not. My name is Steve Prater. I'm the chairman. Okay, to my left is Carolyn Singleton. Stapleton. I don't do names good. I know them very well, but I just don't do names good, so I apologize for that. And Danny Barrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, he is on my right. And we're gonna be talking to you this morning about your revocation hearing. We're continuing as a committee, and it's 9:37, and today is still December the 4th. We started earlier with some other cases. Okay, what we're going to do today is I'm going to read a list of the charges that are the rule violations that are against you. And I want you to tell me if you are guilty of these, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. Okay, but let's confirm who you are first. Tell me your name and your DLC number.
Berkein Scott, April 16, 1990, 625319.
Okay, and you have a sheet in front of you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that sheet talks about the fact that you're not entitled to an appointed attorney, but you could hire one if you wanted to, and all of those. There's a number of things on there. Did you sign and agree to everything that's on that sheet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, what you are charged with this morning, as far as the rule violations, because when you get out of jail, you got these certain rules you got to abide by. And so we're saying you didn't abide by these rules, or possibly you didn't. So I want to hear what you got to say. So either tell me you're guilty with a statement, or not guilty. Okay. The first one is rule number 4, whereas you got to refrain from any criminal activity. And it says you failed to refrain from criminal conduct as evident by your arrest on 5/21/2024 for the following charges: home invasion, theft of a firearm, and theft. Are you guilty of violating that or not?
Yes, sir.
Guilty?
Guilty, yes, sir.
Guilty with a statement? Is that what you want to make a statement on that later?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. The second one is rule 4, which is also the same thing, and under the same rule violation. It says you failed to refrain from illegal use of drugs by testing positive for the following substances on 1/4/2024, methamphetamine and THC. Are you guilty or not guilty of that?
Yes, sir. I'm guilty. And I was like that.
Just tell me guilty with a statement, and we'll get into that later. Is that what you want to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And the next rule violation is number 5. And it says you were arrested and charged by the Baton Rouge Police Department with theft of a firearm. And rule 5 says you can't be around guns. So are you guilty of theft of a firearm, or not guilty, or guilty with a statement?
Now guilty.
Not guilty on that one, okay? And then the last one says you have not been paying or you're not up to speed on your parole fees and you owe $1,258. Is that guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay, you're guilty of that. Okay, we appreciate that. Well, we have some folks that are here to speak on your behalf. And then we'll turn it over to questioning by the panel here, and then we'll make our determination. So the first person that we want to hear from today, while we're here in Baton Rouge, the first person we're going to hear from is your girlfriend, Shamika Richardson, if I'm saying that right.
Yes,
Correctly.
sir. You is.
Okay, and while you're making your way to the podium, do you have any staff from East Baton Rouge that's in the office with you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Murphy.
Introduce yourself, please.
Lieutenant Murphy.
Okay, Lieutenant Murphy, thank you for accommodating us this morning. Okay, now it's your turn. Now it's your turn, Shamika. Would you give us your statement, please, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you come to the podium right there, and that way we can see you good.
Yes, sir. I feel like, since Berkein been out, I feel like he's been doing what he's supposed to do. He's have a stable home. I've been taking him back and forth to work. He's been doing right by his kids as far as making sure the birthday parties are taken care of and stuff like that. He has been strict on me about spending time with him as far as abiding by the parole. The what do you call it? Like the time frame of how y'all tell him to be in the house. Like he was very strict with me on that. I feel like he's been trying to be way better than what he was doing as far as like getting a better job so he can provide better for his family and also to be able to make those payments. He was hustling and rolling into the Hope Ministry off of WINN to help him get certain things done that I could not do. But he was incarcerated before he was famous.
Okay.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been knowing him? How long have you been his girlfriend?
Well, I've been officially his girlfriend since February, but we've been knowing each other on and off since he got out of jail the last time. But I wasn't able to just be there, you know, because I had my own stuff going. I had to get my stuff right before I could help him. But now I'm doing better so where I could help him and my attention can go towards him.
And you're not the person that he supposedly stole a gun from and
No,
hit? No?
No.
Okay. That's all I need to.
Any questions?
That was gonna be my question, at the very same.
Thank you for coming down this morning.
you're welcome.
Okay, we'll hear from Erlene Patterson, who is mom. Miss Patterson?
Yes. How y'all doing today?
Fine.
I'm kind of emotional a bit.
Take your time.
Yeah, cause he been doing great. He been excellent from the time he was been doing all the trouble. He doing great. He got baptized. And mama, I'm being mom. I'm gonna be here. And I didn't keep doing better. And then listen to the way he got in. It wasn't his fault. And anything address will make me cry. The address, he could come live with mom. So for him to get out of the street or doing whatever, he can come live with me. I'm very strict. I know he grown, I'm growner. So me being mom, I will be on him. Just please just give him a chance. And I sure appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you for coming down this morning. We'll take what you had to say and
Thank you.
take it to heart, and thank you very much. Okay, this case is Ms. Stapleton's case. And if you would you go ahead and get started with the question that you might have?
Okay, what we have here is a statement to police on video and then also a written statement that you went into the home of Miss Flowers and that you came into her house, you broke a window to unlock the door and you came inside a resident and you went to her purse, you sold a Ruger, you also stole $60 from her purse. And that you hit her in the face. And the officer observed several red scratches on her neck. And she didn't go for any medical attention. And then in the aftermath of that, there was a protective order brought against you that is in effect for 2 years. And it was listed home invasion, theft, and theft of firearms. Those are the charges then. we're dealing with today. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, ma'am. It was I was not there at that moment. It was a jealous thing because didn't want to be with her. So she told me off through the phone to why that she was gonna call the police and get me in jail. I mean,
So you're saying you weren't even there?
no, ma'am.
Did they find a Ruger on in your possession?
No, ma'am.
Sure enough brought charges against you. You didn't have the Ruger in your possession.
No, ma'am.
You weren't there at all. There was a traffic stop with an active warrant and you were arrested at that time. So what was the traffic stop about?
My friend of mine came pick me up from work and was bringing me home, and his back of his window was bust. So I guess that was a call from them to stop in the car. So when they stopped the car, they were asking our name, but I had my ID on me. So I have a picture of my ID was in my phone, and I gave him a picture of my ID. He rang in my name and came back to the car, like, about the car. I'm like, what's going on? He was like, well, you got a warrant out for your arrest. I'm like, for what? Like, what I did? And he was like, you got to see what's going on. And he just took me in.
Okay, well, I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Monroe?
Yeah, one of the other violations was that you failed to remain from illegal use of drugs and tested positive on January 4th, 2024 for meth and THC. What you have to say about that?
Yes, sir. I had tested positive at January 2024 this year. But after that, the last record, my last record of my drug test was clean. I have not been doing drugs after none of that last record of me having the last drug test.
So basically what you just said was you did test positive on January 4th, but you've been clean since then?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what about paying your parole fees? $1,258 in arrears.
And that part, yes, sir, I was like, my check, if we get paid every 2 weeks at elementary school I work at, we get paid every 2 weeks. So my check be like $500. So after I pay the rent and pay the lights and water, I have too much left. But I will catch up and get those payments down and get that payment.
All right. I see that the victim requested that the charges not be pursued on you. What's if she was trying to get you, why she's taking it back?
Cause it just was a jealous situation of me not wanting to be with her at that time, because I'm already was dealing with Shamika at the time. So she was with her just a point of made because I did not want to deal with her, period, at all.
What made her decide to, well, you probably don't know the answer. Do you know why she decided to drop the charges? Had you talked to her?
No, I have not talked to her since I've been in here.
She just went to the DA's office on her own and asked them to drop the charges?
No, sir. I had did a 701.
What's that?
A 701 is like they had 60 days for the bill me on my charge, and I never been to court. So I filed a 701 OB for them to have dismissed my charge.
All right, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, I don't have any questions. You ready to vote?
Yeah, I'm going to vote today to revoke your parole based upon violations of number 4, which is the illegal use of drugs, of number 5, because there was a protective order put out for 2 years against you, and that's highly unusual. They don't do that without a lot of problem cause. And then number 10, that you're in arrears of your payments.
I'm going to concur with Ms. Stapleton.
Okay, I concur also. That'll be the end of this hearing today. Your parole at this point has been revoked and time is 9:50. Right? Okay, Mr. Richardson, is that you? You're on mute there. Try to unmute it.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can, Mr. Richardson. And let me ask you something. You're at Franklin Parish, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Is there any staff in the room with you?
Yes.
Would you introduce yourself, staff, please?
Staff, he wants you to.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Would you introduce yourself, please?
You're saying, would you introduce yourself?
Ricky Reeves.
Okay, Mr. Reeves, thank you very much. Appreciate. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for accommodating us today. The time is 10:01. The date is December the 4th, 2024. We're continuing our revocation and parole hearings for today. This is the 3-panel board that you will be hearing your revocation. My name is Steve Prater. I'm the acting chairman. Danny Barra is on my right side here. Carolyn Stapleton is on the left side of me. And of course, we have the staff in the room, and we've already introduced ourselves earlier when we started. Okay, I'm going to ask you, do you have a sheet of paper in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and does that have your DOC number on it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, have you read that sheet and understand it and understand that you're not entitled to an appointed counsel? Do you understand that?
It says that I can get a court-appointed lawyer.
I don't think you can. I don't think you are eligible for one.
You can read, write, and understand some things. Proceedings.
Okay.
You can read, write, and understand.
Can you read and write?
Yes, I can.
Do you understand the nature of what we're talking about today?
Yes.
Okay, and what education do you have?
Some high school.
Some high school, okay. All right. Okay, according to the Supreme Court guidelines, I'm told that you don't qualify for an appointed counsel, but you can hire one if you would like. Do you want to hire an attorney and reschedule this hearing?
No, not right now, but okay.
Okay, all right. If your answer is no, then we're gonna go over a list of rules, and I want you to tell me if you are guilty of this rule, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. And you can give your statement later, but not right now. And these are rules on the contract that you signed when you originally got out of jail and put on parole. The first rule violation is number 2. You've got to have monthly reporting. And from June of 2023 through September of 2024, it appears that there was no monthly reporting. Are you guilty of that, or not guilty, or guilty with a statement?
Not guilty.
Okay. Okay, rule number 3. You have to live at the address that you have given your parole officer. And the same dates, June of 2023 through September 2024, we're led to believe that you did not have an address, or you did not live at the address that you had given. Are you guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement?
I'm not guilty.
Okay. Okay, number 4, you can't be involved in any criminal behavior. You were arrested in Nevada. You were evidently drinking or stopped for drinking at the mall. And it says you gave false statements. You were arrested, and a criminal background resulted in an arrest warrant issued from the Department of Corrections in Louisiana, and you were extradited back here. Are you guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement of violating criminal behavior?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Okay. All right. We will let you give your statement as you are questioned. There's nobody here in opposition or in favor or wanting to speak about your particular case. So we'll turn it over to the board. Miss Carolyn Stapleton is the lead questioner, and then we will ask questions as appropriate. So Ms. Stapleton.
Okay, so on the first one, you said not guilty, and that was that you have not reported since June of 23 to September of 24, which was over a year. Did you report?
Well, I'm homeless.
Okay, so you didn't. You didn't.
Yeah, I did. I called them and told them I'm homeless.
Okay, well, so they're saying you didn't report and you have to do it monthly. Okay, let's go to number 3, that you actually, your address changed, that it was in Las Vegas, Nevada. Were you in Las Vegas, Nevada, or were you in Louisiana?
I was in Louisiana.
Okay, so how come you were arrested in Las Vegas, Nevada?
I told them that, well, excuse me, I told them that I was going there on vacation, and then there.
Okay. Well, you also were arrested for making false statements and obstructing public in Las Vegas. So they got you for making false statements. And according to the parole officer here, the things that you told me here sound like false statements. Doesn't sound like you were in Louisiana, that you were in Las Vegas.
Well, yes, but I'm homeless. I don't have no way of. I don't have no money.
Address, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I stay at the address, but okay, the power. We ain't got no power or electricity or nothing.
Okay, well, okay, so was your address in Las Vegas or in Louisiana? With no power?
At the time they arrested me, yes.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Mr. Barra?
I'm just looking at some notes here from your preliminary hearing. And it says, according to the narratives of the parole officer, Richardson made contact, your brother, on 10/23/23. And Richardson's brother reported that Richardson had moved from the residence several months ago. Additionally, Agent Bryan said, according to Richardson's FBI rap sheet, Richardson was arrested on 4/11/24 for false statements to the police in Las Vegas, Nevada. Was your brother being truthful, or he was trying to get you in trouble?
I don't know what my brother was told. I don't know. Somebody could have been and told him anything. I don't know.
Okay. Now, what about the arrest in Las Vegas? Were you arrested in Las Vegas?
Well, yeah. Yes.
And what was that about? How did that come about?
Well, I'm homeless. I guess they figured that I'm doing something I ain't got no business doing.
So what were you doing when you got arrested?
I don't remember. All I know is I was just basically just wrapped up in a sheet. It was cold at the time.
What made you choose Las Vegas?
Well, ain't nothing here. I didn't remember going up before. I don't remember taking this plea deal. I remember just doing, as long as I did my time, that I was gonna get out and that I'm released, that I'm good to go.
So you saying you didn't think you were on parole for Louisiana?
No, I don't remember taking this plea deal in court in the first place. I asked that they take me in front of the judge. They said I had to do it this way.
All right. That's all the questions I have.
Okay. All right. I don't have any questions. Ms. Stapleton?
Just as a matter of fact, it said that you were arrested for unlawful possession and consuming alcohol in a container at the mall. So that, I mean, they had to have an arrest on you to get to the rest of the stuff. So that led to all of this. My vote today is to revoke, and because you are in violation of 2, 3, and 4.
And I concur, same reason, same violation.
And I concur, same reason, same violations. Time is 10:11. That'll conclude this particular hearing. As of today, your parole has been revoked, sir. Sorry to tell you that.
Okay, when I get out.
Hello, Mr. Brown. How are you doing? Okay, unmute yourself, please, sir.
Can y'all hear?
We can hear and we thank you. And if you would introduce yourselves to the staff that's in the room.
Oh, my name is JARRAD BROWN.
Okay, and the staff.
Oh, staff Ms. D.
Staff Sergeant Danielle Plaisance with Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office.
Okay, thank you for hosting us today. And as you said, we're in Ascension Parish. We're here to handle the revocation hearing on Mr. JARRAD BROWN.
Yes, sir.
And we're here to talk about that. Before we go into all that, I want to tell you it's 10:21 a.m. It's still December the 4th. We've had several cases before yours. My name is Steve Prater. I'm the chairman today. Mr. Danny Barra is on my right. Carolyn Stapleton is on my left, and we'll all three be asking you questions and trying to determine if your your parole should be revoked. Okay, Mr. Brown, do you have a piece of paper in front of you?
I could get one. But
Okay.
get it for me.
Get a piece of paper.
Now, sir, do you have one that you signed in front of you?
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Can you see that? Can you see that right there?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, and it's got your rights on there, and you signed this and understand everything that was on there, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is your DOC number, Mr. Brown?
557168.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
right.
still in Paris right now though.
Yes, sir, I understand that.
My old DOC number, yeah.
Yes, sir, you're at Ascension Parish, and when you got out of prison, you signed an agreement that you would abide by certain rules. And so that's why you're here today, is that you're being accused or suspected of violating a particular rule. In your case, the rule that you are suspected of violating is rule number 4. And I'll read that to you. And it has to do with avoiding criminal activity. And it says on 6/20/2024, you were arrested by the Ascension Sheriff's Office for aggravated second-degree battery, violation of protective order. You were arrested. You were involved in an aggravated second-degree battery, which occurred while incarcerated at Ascension Parish Jail. Once you got in jail, that was on 6/29. And on 8/13,
It missed it.
and on 8/13/2024, you pled guilty to a violation of a protective order, and you were given six months in the parish prison. The aggravated battery, second-degree battery, was dismissed on 8/13/24. Okay, my question is, are you guilty of these things, not guilty, or guilty with a statement?
The battery, I was defending myself. Actually, I got stabbed in the neck.
Okay.
I was defending myself. Two guys jumped on me. Once I got down here, I wasn't trying to get no trouble. I ended up getting in a fight. I ended up getting in a fight with two guys that jumped me. I was just defending myself. That's why they just missed it. I guess they rolled the cameras back and seen how it took place.
Okay, so you're saying the aggravated battery in jail, you're not guilty of that?
No.
You were just defending yourself, so you're not guilty of that. Okay, what about when you're arrested for violation of a protective order? And what about that particular case?
Oh, I was by a relative. It was a lady I had a prior thing with, and I was by a relative for Father's Day. And we was cooking, and we were cooking in the yard. She didn't tell me nothing, so I thought I could go back by my cousin. And
let me stop you just a second. Just tell me if you're not guilty, or guilty with a statement of that, and then we'll get your statement in a minute.
I guess I was guilty because I was on the same street where she stayed at.
Okay, that's all. We'll get to that. I'm not trying to cut you off because I want you to have your fair day, but I just wanted to know that. Okay, I think that's really I think that's the violation of the rules that we're talking about. There's two parts of it. One was the ag battery, and one was the violation of the protective order. Okay.
It's a misdemeanor, all right?
Sir?
I say, isn't that charge a misdemeanor charge?
Yes, sir, the protective order, I believe, is a misdemeanor charge.
Yes, sir.
But that doesn't mean that you're automatically forgiven and
Yeah.
not poked on that. Okay, now's the time that I'm gonna ask you the questions. Now, tell me again about when you were jumped in jail or stabbed in jail.
Okay, I come to jail. I was in intake. I asked to stay in intake to stay out of trouble, right? I didn't want to go to the back because I didn't want to get no trouble. So 2 guys ended up jumping on me in there. They rolled the cameras back. I went to Prevost, got stitches in my neck and everything. They charged all of us with the fight, but I was the victim, you know.
Okay.
And it threw the charge out on me. They didn't give me no charge. I guess after they reviewed everything and see I wasn't a problem, they dismissed it.
Okay. All right. Now tell me about the protective order that you violated. Give me some details about that.
Okay, I was by a relative, the lady that got the order. I got relatives stay on the street. And I by my relative. She must have seen me through the screen door or something. And she called the police on me.
Okay. So let me translate that. And you tell me if I'm right or not. You have a relative that lives near the victim. You went to see the relative, and the victim sees you on her street and calls the police. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you across the street from the victim's house?
Yeah, he stayed like my cousin stay across the street from her.
Were you standing on the sidewalk?
I was right in front of the fence. Yeah, I was in the yard.
In your friend's yard or relative?
My cousin's yard.
Your whose yard? Your family's
my
yard?
cousins. It's my cousin.
Okay. Were you looking and staring across the street at the other house?
I was talking to somebody else. When the police came up there, me and somebody else was talking. Me and one of my other friends was talking.
Okay. Do you know what a protective order means?
Yes, sir.
Did you violate that protective order?
I guess I did. Yeah. But I know I'm not no harm or no threat to her. I don't mean no harm towards her.
That's really all the questions I've got.
You gave me the answer I was looking for, you know.
No question.
No questions. Okay, we don't have any other questions here, and even though that is what you're saying is a misdemeanor, it still is a serious thing, especially with the history that's a serious thing. So I have to be the one to begin the voting because this case was assigned to me. And my vote is that your parole be revoked, that you violated a protective order, rule number 4, that you intentionally violated a protective order. My vote is to revoke. Ms. Stapleton?
And my vote is to concur.
Also concur.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, but your parole has been revoked today. That's the end of this hearing. It's 10:29 a.m. It's still December the 4th, end of the hearing. Thank you. Let's see, Mr. Cage, are you on there? Is your name Mr. Christopher Cage? Unmute, please. Okay, are you Mr. Cage?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Well, good morning, Mr. Cage.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. It's December the 4th of 2024. The time is 10:36. We're here to hear your revocation hearing. To talk about that, the board here, my name is Steve Prater. I'm the chairman of the board today. To my left is Carolyn Stapleton. To my right is Danny Barra. And we're here and we'll be deciding whether to revoke your parole today. Do you have a sheet of paper in front of you?
I can get one.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to be more specific.
Oh, no,
See,
I don't have
see that
that.
revocation questionnaire there? Did you sign that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you signed that? All right. And did you understood everything that was on there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is your DOC number?
509089, sir.
Okay, thank you. And do you have any staff at WINN Parish in the office with you?
They right here.
Could they introduce themselves, please?
Kobe, come here. Thanks, bud.
Okay, would you introduce yourself, please? Yes, sir. The staff at WINN, would you tell us your name, please, sir?
Colby Rising, I'm the assistant warden.
Okay, thank you for accommodating us today. We appreciate it very much.
No problem.
Okay, Mr. Cage, the way we do this thing now that we've gotten the formalities done, when you get out of prison, you sign a contract that you won't violate certain rules. And there's certain rules that you are accused of violating, suspected of violating. So I want to go over those and I want you to tell me, and all you need to tell me is if you're guilty, not guilty, or guilty, and you want to give a statement later about that. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Let's start with rule number 2, where you gotta report in a certain amount of time. And according to your parole officer, you did not report on April 23rd, June 23rd, July 23rd, September 23rd, November 23rd, January 24th, February 24, and March of 24. That you did not report on those months. Are you guilty or not guilty of that?
Sir, I'm guilty.
Okay, thank you. Is that guilty? You want to give a statement later or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, later on we will then. Okay, number 3 is that you lived at a particular address and you didn't tell them appropriately where you were living. Are you guilty or not guilty of that?
Not guilty.
Okay, so you kept them appraised of where you were living.
Yes, sir.
Okay, rule number 4 has to do with criminal activity. You were charged with simple battery, unauthorized entry, and you also came back hot on some drug screens for amphetamine and methamphetamine. Are you guilty or not guilty of that criminal behavior?
Not guilty on that. I'm guilty on the dirty urine.
Okay, guilty on the dirty urine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll put down a G for urine. All right. Rule number 6, you fail to provide proof of a job. Are you guilty or not guilty of that?
Guilty, sir.
Okay, thank you. And then rule number 9, visits, and that goes back to number 3, where you lived at a particular address. According to your parole officer, he had trouble coming by there and visiting with you on a number of different occasions. Are you guilty or not guilty of that?
I'm guilty.
Okay. All right. And then number 10, finally, you owe a little over $600 on your fines and parole fee, probation fee, whatever your fees that you owe the Department of Corrections. You're over $600 in arrears. Are you guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sir.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Well, let's see. you said on number 2, we're through with the list, so we're gonna go back to number 2, where you failed to report on all those months with those dates that I read. And you said guilty and you wanted to give a statement. Why didn't you report? Now's the time for your statement. Tell me why you didn't report all those different months.
Okay, I was out looking for a job, and a couple of times I didn't have a ride. I got up there too late, because it's from like 6 to 9 or 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning. And I got there late, and he was already gone a couple of times.
Okay, so you went, let me translate here. So you went to report, but by the time you got there for 8 o'clock, you was a little bit late and your parole officer had already gone. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's a lot of months. So don't you think that's, in other words, are you kind of bullying me, or are you,
No, sir.
okay. All right. Is that all you got to say about that particular one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, let's move on. What about you say you're not guilty, that you kept them apprised to where you live. Tell me about where do you live now?
702 Ogden Street. That's where I've been living at.
For this whole time?
Residence. That's my residence. Yes, sir.
Okay. How come he could never find you there?
Because whenever he come there, I'm not there. I'm not there when he come there. And sometimes my brother was staying with me. When he come, my brother take the card out the door, and he'll sit it down. And when I come home, I don't see him, and I just run across the card, and it'd be late. It'd be a couple days later when I run across the card in the house, and my brother never tell me. My brother's kind of slow.
Okay, your brother's slow?
Yes, sir. Like retarded, sir.
Okay. All right.
He can't read or write or none of that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the simple battery and the unauthorized entry. When you were arrested for that. Tell me about that. Tell me about your arrest for simple battery and unauthorized entry.
It was a misunderstanding, sir. Them charges are dropped.
Okay, but
it was a misunderstanding.
A misunderstanding between you and the victim.
Yes, sir. She called and she was calling for disturbing the peace. It wasn't. I didn't put my hands on nobody. None of that.
Okay.
If I did, they wouldn't have dropped these charges. My charges been dropped since June.
Okay, well, that's not always the case, but okay, so that's your statement that you're not guilty of that.
Yes, sir.
What about the dirty urine? Tell me about that.
Yes, sir. I was guilty on that.
So you admit to doing amphetamines or methamphetamine?
Yes, sir.
Do you still do that?
No, sir.
Have you had any drug tests?
I've been incarcerated for 8 months and 3 days, sir.
Is that the only reason you hadn't done any?
Oh, I don't do it no more. That was.
Well, I know you don't for 8 months.
Yes, sir. But I don't do it.
Okay. All right. You failed to provide proof of a job. Did you have a job?
Mowing yards, washing cars.
Okay, but you didn't. Did you tell your parole officer?
Yes, sir. My parole officer, Brandon, he knew about that.
Well, when I asked you a minute ago about rule number 6, failed to provide proof of a job, you said you're guilty of that. Now you're saying you're not guilty of that?
I'm saying, if you called, I ain't worked for nobody. That's what I meant about that. I was working for myself.
Okay. All right. And then he claims he came by to try to visit, same as rule number 3, about where you lived, and he was unable to visit you. And you pled guilty to that, so no state.
Yes, sir, because when he come, I don't be there. And my on my stipulations, I don't have a curfew or none of that to where I got, I have to be in the house at a certain time or none of that. So it be just missing me.
Just missing, okay?
Yes, sir.
And finally, rule number 10, where you owe the $600, you guilty of that. You don't have do you have a statement to make about that?
Sir, I was paying on it, but I'm paying rent and my lights, utility where I stay at, and it really was rough on me.
And so is that your family home where your brother stays?
No, my mom rented for me.
Okay, does your mom live there too?
No, sir. That's my residence. I'm the head. I'm the head of the house right there.
Okay, your mom pays the rent.
She was.
That's why you paying rent. She can't pay your fees.
I pay on them when I can. When I got extra money, I pay on them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't have any other questions. Ms. Stapleton, do you have any questions?
I don't really have a question, but I do have your own statement on the victim. When the police caught you concerning domestic violence, that you said you went through the back window and found her with another man, and you were going to the house to ask her if she would take you back, and it got you upset, and that's when the altercation happened?
No, ma'am. That's a misunderstanding. I never said none of that right there.
Okay, so everything's a misunderstanding.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any more questions.
Mr. Balrog?
No question.
Okay. All right. I think we've heard everything we need to hear, and it's my turn because this was assigned to me, my vote. So my vote today is because of the extent of these violations, because of violations 2, 3, 4, 4 again, 6, 9, and 10, because of those violations that your parole is to be revoked today. I'm sorry to tell you that, but Mr. Balrog?
I concur with Mr. Prater.
Ms. Stapleton?
And I concur with Mr. Prater.
Okay, that'll conclude this RDT, but your parole has been revoked today. That's the end of this hearing. It's 10:49.